David Brooks is finally learning what so many Americans have known all along. Take a look at this excerpt from a recent Atlantic. David Brooks is grieving. Not a death, not a war crime, not the destruction of civil rights and civil liberties. No, he's grieving the collapse of a myth. The loss of a story he told himself and what so other many Americans like him about what America is and what that made him. He says he feels moral shame. But that's not shame. That's disorientation, because he's losing his identity. Because January 20th, 2025 didn't change anything essential about America. January 6th, 2021 did neither. And if you want a good taste of that, read Harbingers by Timothy Heath. It just made something visible that was already there the whole time. And what Brooks and a whole generation of elite white Americans are experiencing right now is what happens when a visceral, internalized nationalism built on American exceptionalism finally gets exposed as fiction. It's not just the right. It's not just moderates. Even most liberals, even those on the so-called left, still believe deep down that the American project was noble, that the revolution was righteous, that the founders, flawed as they were, meant well, that those lofty words in 1776 actually applied to them. But here's the thing. They didn't. The revolution wasn't about what you think. Independence wasn't fought for what you've been told. The patriots weren't who you wanted them to be, and this country has never lived by the values it so loves to quote, ever. No matter how many times Ken Burns might say that it was. Black Americans, indigenous peoples, immigrants, refugees, anybody but the folks at the very, very top. They've known this since 1776. They've had to survive the reality why people like David Brooks swim in a myth. So if you are only just realizing that the country you believed in isn't the country we've actually had, then good. But don't confuse that revolution with a moral awakening. It's just the start. Before we can move forward towards something better, and definitely towards something else, we need a full deconstruction of the identity that so many white Americans still cling to. That kind of nationalism doesn't just fade. Not when so many are doing their level best to repackage it as a tool to what they believe will undermine the current regime without recognizing how that story and continuing to tell it just strengthens them. Every time you quote a founder at them, it just makes them stronger because it reinforces their fantasy that the words of the patriots matter. It fits into their idea of patriotic education and of making America great again to when those people were in charge. So every time you do that, every time you quote James Madison or Alexander Hamilton or Thomas Jefferson or George Washington, it's a win for the regime every single time. So the First Amendment, the Second Amendment, the 14th Amendment, we need to read them as the patriots would have, because those are the only people who clearly matter, and their words absolutely matter more than you do. That toxic fiction has to be torn down, brick by mythical brick. Only then can we begin, again, towards a new reconstruction, and make sure that we actually go through with what we should have done the first time. So welcome to the party, David Brooks and people like him. Now stop feeling sorry for yourselves, get over losing your privilege, and get to work with the rest of us.